Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our. Okay, good. Welcome to our panel, biofuturism and synthetic aesthetics, and we have lots of guests. And I would speak less, and I will let them speak first. So we have so much guests: Lolo, Maxime, Gutern, and Shencong, and Lola. And please begin with Lolo, please. Yes, you can.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lolo Ostia. I'm an artist and researcher. I work with living materials, and my background is cinematography, lighting, and design. And as a researcher, I see the art got moved. I'm really focused on education and synthetic biology. So I'll tell you a little bit how I started focusing on synthetic biology. As I mentioned, my background is photography and film, and I was working on video installations, mostly working with textiles and acrylic, and I was interested in materials. So I decided to go to grad school and started working with bacterial cellulose, making bacterial cellulose circuits. I'm sure most of you know what bacterial cellulose is. It's the byproduct of kombucha fermentation. So after working with bacterial cellulose, I thought, what else can I grow? And then I started working a little bit with AI, kind of represent how you can, my aim was how to show living organisms around us and within us. But my background is also design. So I was interested in how else could I work with this biomaterial. And I learned about SYNSCOBY, which is a genetically engineered yeast. So basically it's a bacterial cellulose leather that responds to UV light. It has the GFP protein. So with all these materials, I wanted to showcase it in an art context. And I started building these large-scale installations. In my aim was to bring also the subject of interspecies communication and just how we can work with living materials in a fine art context. This was a site-specific installation at BioBat Art Space, the only bio-art gallery in New York. So as I continue working with biomaterials, I'm currently doing a fellowship at Columbia University working on fermented pigments from the Peruvian Amazon and Mexico. Again, all this growing kombucha and fermentation really led to the current research I'm doing, which is focusing on education and kind of bringing back all this synthetic biology. We always think that the research needs to come only from a lab, but in my current experience, the Amazon and nature can be also a lab. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lolo. So next is Maxime, and you will introduce yourself first.
Hello, everyone. So I'd like to start by asking you to think about the last time you saw a science fiction movie that depicted biotechnology in an inspiring and hopeful way. It probably doesn't happen that often. And when you think about it, our imaginaries are filled with viruses that infect our mind, mushrooms, and worlds in which your DNA determines your entire life success. And maybe that's for the right reasons. Dystopias as a genre are useful for us to think critically and creatively and ethically about the kind of technologies that we're developing. We are a species of storytellers, after all, and stories have always been the main way that humans make sense of their existence. The problem is that a lot of these corporate-dominated, low-tech, polluted cyberpunk worlds that science fiction writers have been warning us about since the 80s, unfortunately have become self-fulfilling prophecies for a majority of people across societies. And so we'd like to ask what is the new role of science fiction, if not to inspire action in the present and address the ambient doomerism that is spreading? What if we also had movies, books, video games that project us into desirable biofutures? How would that impact the field of biotechnology and maybe society's perception of its promises?
And this is exactly the question that drives hopeful speculative movements like ecopunk, solarpunk, biopunk. It's all about the question of how the dialogue between art, aesthetics, tech, and science that we have today powers the imagination and helps us envision the futures that we're going towards in a more hopeful and resilient way. And unfortunately, for better or worse, for the moment, these movements remain in the punk realm, meaning that in a society where pessimism prevails, being hopeful is punk. But let's be honest for a second, none of us here can really imagine what living in such a biofuture might look like. And I don't know if you can imagine what it's going to smell like, to feel like, to sense like, but fortunately we have biodesigners that have created some artifacts that offer us a glimpse into such a future, into a future where we might be able to grow our own shoes or jackets, or where our clothing will engage and participate in our metabolism, or perhaps where our buildings are alive and have a metabolism of their own. And the point of this presentation and of our project is really to encourage everyone working around biotechnologies to put emphasis on the importance of world building in order to help everyone in society imagine what living in such a future might look like and get excited about it. And only this way we will be able to construct such futures. And if you're interested in learning more about solarpunk, about speculative design, or about world building, I invite you to check out our podcast, or feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maxime and Lola. And the next one, Guten, please.
Hello, I'm Günther from Vienna. I'm a teacher, artist, and a researcher. You can see my affiliation. So I teach at the New Design University in St. Pölten and work as a researcher and developer for biofaction in Vienna. And in part of my artistic work, I try to build small philosophical conceptual machines that help toward a kind of cognition or realization of matters. In this case, it's biotechnology. For example, in this work for polysyniase, we have developed a method to translate digital data into DNA and do different kind of experiments with it. For example, with CRISPR-Cas9, we did like image retouching on a molecular level, and it's still open, and it was conducted over a long period of time. And in the beginning, when it started out, it started more like I would say like a naive science fiction idea to really store like data into DNA. But when the project moved on, at what point I came to the realization that there was actually we were talking about different kinds of information that humans try to hold on for a long period of times, which they deem as like important or to be transmissible over long periods of time. And the information that's like contextualized in nature or evolution, as they call it, which are so different from each other that it needs to be questioned if it's a good time to combine these two modes of information processing together. So the whole perspective on this using DNA as a storage change over the course of my projects in there. So and this is kind of the I would say an open-ended approach to art, where we try to build something that reveals a truth that's inherited by these technologies. Maybe we can discuss a little bit more about this here.
Okay, thank you, Guten. Thank you, and we are our last guest, Shen Cong. Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Shen Cong, and I'm a curator, and I have an art space in Hong Kong. Now I want to have a story from the old work, like the visualitures, to respond our topic, the future biofuturism. I want to talk about aesthetics, not just as a decoration, but as an entire way a society decided what is beautiful, acceptable, and modern. In the early 20th century, the Industrial Revolution and the mass manufacturing completely reshaped the sheer sense of beauty. We learned to admire the machine, smooth metal, some like clean lines, perfect repetition, totally controlled. There is beautiful, and there is industrial beautiful. We learn to admire the machine, right? A designer turns that logical into a mass aesthetic. In training, appliance, car, and another investing, right? So industrial didn't just change how we produce objects. It taught us what the future was bound to look like. That time, we are learned how to love the machine. Machine aesthetics become main store of culture. Now we are at the beginning of another aesthetics revolution. I mean, it's a bio revolution, bioengineering revolution. On the left, you can see on the left in my side it's a 20th century industrial beauty. Beauty means smooth, like we just see, scaled, repeatable, and identical every time. The machine as an ideal body of aesthetic of beauty. On the right side. This is fabric that has been growing with living bacteria, not dyed with petrochemical color. The color is literally produced by organisms living on the textile. That is a completely different idea of beauty. Beauty is no longer perfect. Controlled not means make a very perfection work. Beauty becomes we can collaborate with the living system to make form or color or material. So this is why synthetic biology and bioart are not just experiments. They are reshape the next domination aesthetic paradigm. Yeah, I mean it's a paradigm shift of aesthetics. In the 20th century, treat us to love process, stability, and controlled artwork or another things in our life. The 21st century is forcing us to looking at things that are alive, yeah, reaction like. And I think that's a real biofuturism question. as biotechnology scales into materials, fashion, medicine, architecture, or another, are we ready for a new world? Are we ready for a new world where beauty means the living system can survive with us in the normal life? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Tong. And we have our guests today here to talk about science, talk about art, and talk about what we think about the future would be like with biotech. And I think maybe biotech is no. I think maybe art is not like that great, and the art is like just to transport today's biotech into futures bio-living materials, and how we wear. We can wear bio-fabric, and we can transport with some bio-engineering things maybe, and we can just find that all the things we have nowadays can be replaced by something with bio, and that's why we are here talking about the biological futurism. And now I have a few questions for our guest, and maybe the first one is, how might future biological system unite scientific function with artistic meanings? Well, we have guests Maxim and Lola just talk about the function, and when we can talk about what you really think about that, and what can we really do in the future by bioart.
Yeah, so for me, building actually on top of what was just said, I think the most interesting part about implementing biotechnologies in design is in exploring the unique perspectives that they offer for us. What can we do that we were not before able to do? And that also corresponds with the Industrial Revolution, with the Bauhaus, perhaps. You know, there was things that as simple as bending metal poles that completely revolutionized design, and now we look at this chair and we think, wow, that's crazy, you know, that's really beautiful. And perhaps if we continue exploring what are the aesthetic values of biology that it offers to us in a unique way, and we try to really invent new ways of designing with it, and looking at life and what are the properties of life that, for example, you know, dead things just do not have, or the materials that are dormant or no longer active, what are they lacking in comparison to the alive materials? And then push the technologies to be developed in order to facilitate this part of design, instead of, as you just said, replacing or simply aiming to replace things because of their, you know, sustainability value or the CO2 reductions. For me, this is the most interesting opportunity that biodesign and working with biotechnology offers going into the future of design.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's right. When we are doing bioart, we are doing with some living materials, just like Lolo just say. It's not just something died. We can see the materials itself as a bio creature or something just living, just changing. So begin with still that question with Lolo. So what do you think about the biofuturism?
I think the living materials are really the future, because as you mentioned, dormant materials, as creative people, we want something that is interactive, that it's engaging. With social media, we can see people engagement is fading pretty quickly. So we need something that it's not only conceptually, but visually aesthetic. And I do think biomaterials offer that. I also think it brings a larger conversation about respect towards everything that is alive. Personally, growing all that bacterial cellulose definitely changed something in me. When I used to say, when I have these gelatinous greetings from the SCOBY, that I see that it's growing, because I actually used to grow like 3-meter sheets for my research. And I think it's important that also the younger generations have access to this information, because for now, I guess, since we're all older than 25, I think, we already passed this foundation, but now kids and in general, high school students now are going to have access to start working and developing concepts that we cannot even imagine, because they are living already in the future.
Thank you, thank you. And for Gunter, so you're just teaching students and you're doing your own artwork. So I want to ask maybe more from your perspective, how do you think about biofuturism and how do you explain that to students? Or how do you expect your student to do that in the future?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I always try to give a philosophical perspective on what you're actually doing when you're using these materials, when you're using these techniques. And we draw a lot of the, I would say, technological philosophy of Heidegger or Gamben, if you will. And I just was reading a book again just for this event because it's called The Man Without Content, and he describes, I would say, the destiny of art, and he describes the modern artist as somebody who is dispossessed of content through the changes of the understanding of being. And I see there an analogy, like in biology, you know, like do we have especially with synthetic biology, do we get like a biology without content? You know, when you have I would say, when you take life and out of its context, like nature or evolution, and what kind of authenticity does, for example, those standardized biological parts, do they get their authenticity through standardization, or when they're like analogy in art, when you go to a museum, those kind of artworks, they used to be in a lively context. For example, we are in France now. You see all the cathedrals. They were not built for just like having this like aesthetic wandering and just like enjoying the beauty of it. They were like very rooted in the very practices of the people who built it. And nowadays, when we put these artworks into a museum, it's like in a butcher shop. You have like the dead meat hanging out of context from different times, different techniques all together. And like with these standardized biological parts, for example, are we going the same path, like decontextualizing life, you know, just like having this stripped out of their environment, their context, and what's happening with life then, you know? So the production in that kind of sense becomes very uncertain, and like by doing these hands-on works, we also try to reflect on those kind of questions.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I agree with you that art is about practice, not just in the museum. Yes, and the last question, it's Cong Shen, and he have a background about the history of science and technology. So I want to ask us, how do you think about biofuturism, and how do you think from the side of maybe history of science? Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the futurism come back in the past, and we can find the rules in the history. If the social materials or social substance be changed, we call it maybe it likes matrix. Matrix construct our mind and our lifestyle and our work. The matrix has been turned now. Maybe not now, but we gather in here is to image is aim to image the biofuture, right? So when the biology in evolution, when the biology shaped become a very big scale industrial. We artists and designer, how to respond the industrial and how to respond the change of the world. Yeah, this is our question and something to thinking.
Okay, thank you. And we have the last question, for we don't have many time. And in a world where life is increasingly designed and rather than discovered, how might we refine beauty, form, and perception? Maybe it's a long question, but it's really about how do you think the art or how do you think the beauty of the future biology is, and how do you think your work is matched with that? So we can begin with Maxime and Lola.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll answer the question directly, but speaking from the perspective of the important work that is currently being done in sustainability education, climate education, what I've been seeing is that it's kind of difficult to get kids very interested and engaged in these topics, because the pedagogies we use, the way that we teach about big systemic issues is very cognitive. It's like, okay, you learn the fact, you learn about the greenhouse gases, you know, the mechanisms that are happening, but rarely do we use the power of aesthetics, for example, to which we know that young people are very sensitive to kind of teach this important knowledge. So I think beauty and imagination has a very important role to play, especially with young public.
Okay, thank you. Maxime, do you want to say anything or just give it to
I mean, I completely agree. I think for me and for our project specifically, I think it's very important to engage with the aesthetics in a way that is attractive for everyone. I think I was recently at a conference and I heard a pretty negative sentiment about the fact that biodesign wasn't for everyone. And I really strongly disagree. I think it's up to us to make it for everyone. I want it to be accessible for everyone. I want everyone to understand that this is a pathway to a more desirable future in which we can exist in harmony within ourselves and society and in symbiosis with nature. And I think as really a marketing campaign and sort of a way to convince the younger public especially, we should employ a variety of ways, and especially the popular culture and media.
Okay, thank you. And Gutrin?
Yeah, so in the advent of artificial intelligence, especially in the combination with synthetic biology, I would say art should try to cultivate a good relation to the unknown again, and try to overcome these input-output shortcuts. That's what I would say.
Thank you. So, Lolo?
Well, beauty is such a big word, and to me, I think what's really important is engagement, because people can pass by something really beautiful and not care at all. But again, if you can marry the conceptual with the aesthetics, I really love genetically engineered bioluminescence. So if anybody is working with that, please come to me. Or I'll come to you, like the moths follow the light. I think there's something very powerful about using bioluminescence and light in general, as humans are naturally driven to light. And yeah, I'm excited for that.
Okay, thank you. And last one?
On my side, I think beauty is not a question about for artists, but beauty, in my opinion, looks like it's not a definition, but it's a situation. It's a situation how to make the suitable. Yeah, it's now we like the phone, right? iPhone. We said it's a crystal of industrial. But if our industrial all be a bio industrial, what kind of phone is beauty? All made by bio, right? This why I said beauty is a situation, not a definition, right?
Okay, thank you. So our time is running out, and the time is quite short. And do you have if you have any question, you can just question our guest. And another call. We are here at the Art and Design Village, and really happy to see you, and really happy to see you, our guys, just participate in our village, and maybe next year we will see each other again. Okay, thank you.